Hello, everyone. How are you guys? Hope you're having a good afternoon. It's almost 5 o'clock here and it's time for the animals to eat. So if you see some dogs pacing, they're hungry and they'll get fed shortly. Welcome to my channel. Okay, so in my last stream, which I did about the Chrisleys and the updates with their stuff, I realized some of you guys were like, I need Lucille, one of my longtime members, said she needed some Sister Wives tea, to which I was like, okay, I take your dare and I will bring it to you. So I was doing some digging and then I ended up on Kody's Twitter, which then made me end up on a podcast. And he was actually on a podcast last week answering all kinds of questions. And he was hosted by on Reality Life with Kate Casey. I think it's a weekly podcast, and she actually directly interviewed Kody and asked some of the fans burning questions about the Browns. And during that interview, he answered a question that I think a lot of us have been asking all season. So let's start with, we know that they moved, right? And they moved to Flagstaff. And they had all of these issues. Meri rented a house, and the house neighbors basically told her that she needed to skedaddle because they didn't like her lifestyle. So she went back, she hightailed it back to Vegas, and then when she was in Vegas, ends up finding this place that is ginormous, which you see in the thumbnail. It has like 6,000 plus square feet, which led a lot of us to be like, why does Meri need such a big house? She has no kids in the house. She has Kody that doesn't stay there ever. He's admitted that. And why? It's just her, right? So during a rapid fire of questions, Kody said, and I thought this was interesting, he goes, well, you know, Meri does have a business and she runs her business out of her home, but then he almost like caught himself. And he's like, well, and then also, so it has to do with her running her business, but then he also said that she found a home that was less expensive than the home that she had previously found that she had tried to rent, the smaller blue house that she got booted out of. She says that he found a home that actually was less money than the other houses that they were renting and had more space. And due to the fact that she works out of her house and needed the space for her inventory, it was a good deal. Plus, it would give the family a place to go for large gatherings. Which got me thinking, what do you mean inventory? You mean you have a lot of clothes in your garage you might not be moving? Could that be true? Is that what you're saying, Kody? Now, he didn't outright say it, but we all know, or maybe you don't know, that Meri is these days working as a retailer for Lulu Burrow clothing, and she claims to sell a lot of it. She's moving on up. She's always going to conferences and doing sales on Instagram, and she's got a Facebook group, and all of her posts are about how she's living her best life. But the reality could maybe not be matching her face that she's giving us might not match the reality, because Lulu Burrow is facing a lot of issues. They're being sued in multiple states. The state of Washington is actually alleges they're a pyramid scheme. They have a massive lawsuit with a vendor in the state of California. They have a couple class action suits that they're facing. They recently closed down their primary warehouse at their headquarters and laid off 167 people. They've done numerous launches of clothing, and they've retired a ton of clothing as well. And there's all of these looming issues where people are still getting rid of their inventory on Facebook. You can find all of these different going out of business sales. You can find Lulu Burrow at Goodwill and at thrift shops for super, super cheap. People cannot sell this stuff anymore. So is she buying a lot of inventory and just like holding it? Is that like what she's doing? Because this can happen. Some of the people that have left the business have basically said that they've been left with garage fulls. Sometimes where some of the largest people in Lulu Burrow have said that they had to actually rent out storage spaces for all of the clothes that they had, because nobody buys it. Only the retailers buy the clothes and then they don't get to sell it. So could it be the inventory? He also stated, now that's my first bet, like, oh, it's all about the inventory. It's got to be about the inventory, right? So then I thought about something. Then he said, well, it's also because, there's this delicate balance in this world where he has to make sure that he makes all of the wives feel valued. And so part of that is not making her live in a smaller home and allowing her to have the larger place that she wants to keep her happy. Who guesses that it has nothing to do with the family, nothing to do with keeping her happy, and all the things to do with she needs a humongous space for all the crap she has? I'm thinking it's probably like mostly about the stuff she has and then a little bit to do with the other things. Then in this interview, he said that his favorite thing about Meri was her loyalty. And when asked about his favorite things about his other wives, he said fun for Christine, intellect for Janelle, and kindness for Robin. Interesting. And then she said, well, would you let Janelle make all of your financial choices? And he said, H-E double hockey sticks, no. He was like, she might act like she is making all of the decisions for our family, but she is not the decision maker. I am. Wow, somebody got a little bit sensy pants and emasculated with that question. He also stated that several of his older children refuse to be on the show because they have real jobs that they don't want to get. They have real jobs that are hard to actually get, are not compatible. So they want to have corporate jobs, and it wouldn't work for them to have corporate jobs in the world that they're in and be on the show. And when she asked, this was the other question, I was like, he asks about what they do, like, do they have real jobs? And he's like, we have our entrepreneurial opportunities. We've started our own few businesses, but he still doesn't say what they do. Kody's job has been the number one question the entire years that they've been on the show. 10 seasons, 10 years. He has never answered what the heck he does for his job. What do you do? Like, what's your entrepreneurship business stuff? What is it? I'm dying to know. I really, really, really want to know what it is that he does. He also doesn't expect any of his kids to go into this lifestyle. And what was the other thing he said? They hightailed it to Flagstaff, not because of balloon payments, but because he had decided that he wanted to move to Utah, and then Utah made it like so that they couldn't come back. And after he made that decision, he had gotten the wives on board to move, and then they all decided together, and he swears up and down that their moving to Utah was not like he made them, and that everyone agreed that they are moving to Arizona. Everyone was on board. Everyone wanted to do it, and it wasn't as dramatic as it seemed for the show. Now, back to Meri. Do you think her business with LLR is as successful as she claims? With so much going on with that company, how is it possible that she could possibly recruit anyone into that place? Thousands of people have declared bankruptcy, dozens of lawsuits. Their corporate headquarters closes, the warehouse. Like, at what point do you admit defeat and you're like, I don't need this house for my inventory, but rather I should just get a house for me and then get rid of the stuff that she has? Who buys that clothing anymore? Does anyone actually wear it? I don't see anyone wearing it. I don't see anyone talking about it on social media. So is she actually successful, or is she just buying a lot of products? I have so many questions about this, and I literally cannot stand LLR for the way that they've, used women to like basically hurt each other's feelings and steal money from each other. And it's just a messy company. There's other companies out there, but Lulu Burrow is like one of the worst. So is it for the inventory, or is it really for the gatherings? I want you guys to tell me in the comments. What do you think? Why is it? Is it because she needs all the space for her buttery soft leggings and her t-shirts designed for 12-year-olds? Or is it because she can host all the parties? All right, you guys, that's the tea. If you want to check out the full episode of the podcast, I'll link it in the description at the end of this video. And if before we go, make sure you give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet already. Have a great day, and I'll be back later tonight. Bye, guys.